Hello and welcome. This is Aufhören der Podcast. And Aufhören is a German word for quitting. I started this podcast in a time where I also quit a lot of things. My name is Sophia Thome and I am a life coach and a spiritual engineer. Today's guest is Ilan Stephani. Ilan Stephani is a somatic researcher and embodiment trainer, a best-selling author, and a self-made businesswoman. Since a few weeks, I am working with her, co-creating with her. I am in Team Ilan Stephani, and it is an absolute pleasure to work in such a badass energy. But listen for yourself. In this episode, we talk about how working as a sex worker for 2 years helped her to disappoint every expectation that society had on a good girl on this culture, and what this also did for her as an entrepreneur, how this shaped her way of doing business. We talk about strategies, how to stop comparing yourself, because that's one of the biggest things that I have received from her body of work. We talk about how she shares her medicine and how she finds her medicine, because her teachings are really unique. We talk about why she thinks it's important that we celebrate and that we get celebrated when we fail, and how we also put this into practice in a business context. And also we talk, for example, about how to approach losing money, how to approach failing, how to approach being very wrong in this world, and using this for empowerment and for actual self-love. So with this said, I wish you a lot of fun. I don't know if fun is the right word. I wish you an interesting time. I wish you an interesting time listening to this episode. And thank you for tuning in. And at the end, make sure to check out the show notes if you're interested in working with Ilan. If you want to know more about her offers, you will find all information down below.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Ilan Stephani, to Aufhören der Podcast. This is what soon will be Germany's biggest podcast around business and spirituality. And I'm so happy to receive you here today. I think a little disclaimer I would like to give before we start anything, because I've been working with you and co-creating with you since a few weeks now. And for everybody listening, I can already let you know that you really will be here. You cannot listen to this conversation with only half your brain or half your ear. Whenever you want to be around Ilan Stephani, you have to be fully present and you have to really be there. So make sure to get a cold shower, shake a little bit, or do a headstand, whatever you need to do, so you can really be here now with us. And with these words, welcome, Ilan.
Hey, thank you for the invitation. Let's dive into the topics.
So I thought maybe for the beginning, because when I started working with you, I was surprised about many things that you did as an entrepreneur that I didn't even know, even though I followed your work, or I followed some aspects of your work. And I was really interested in collaborating with you and co-creating. So can you give us like a little timeline of your entrepreneurial story? Like, since when are you an entrepreneur? How did all of this start? And maybe just what you want to share at the moment, some highs, some lows, like what are like the biggest milestones for you on your...
First of all, audio quality is okay, video quality, just okay.
Perfect. You look wonderful.
Okay. Just because when I'm freezing, let me know. We are talking about trauma maybe, so a freeze in between might happen, might be due to the technique, might be due to Ilan's nervous system. So, basically, I didn't know the word entrepreneur or something like that, or fempreneur, but I knew within every cell, I will never be able to work for somebody else. So it's like, what is left? If you're not super rich born, it's left that you were an entrepreneur. And I didn't have a mindset. I didn't have education around that. I just couldn't breathe without doing my own thing. And the very first times I did my very own thing was, I think, immediately after moving out of my parents' house, then a year at the countryside, and then I moved to Berlin, and then I somehow did this I could say breakthrough, I do not know into which direction, but stepping into 2 years of working as a sex worker was something like, I am meant to be free, and I'm meant to disappoint every expectation that is put on a good girl in this culture. And I'm the last one promoting that women should work as a sex worker, because it's really, really a tough job and you need so many healthy boundaries. To some extent, you can't grow up in this culture and have that many healthy boundaries that you would need for that. So I'm not promoting that. However, I am promoting that we step out of the box that is put on us, like the framework of expectation of role models, like break free from that as radically as you can do, as early as you can do, just because everything after that is so much easier. And then after 2 years, I realized, oh wow, I was so free stepping into sex work. I'm even freer by quitting sex work now. So this was such a breakthrough for me. This kind of, I do not have to keep breaking the taboo, because the taboo didn't exist anymore in my world. So this was my victory. This was my freedom. This was the breakthrough I was going for subconsciously when I stepped into sex work. And after that, so many things were so much easier, because it was like, I do not know. I remember girlfriends in my age at that time being busy with, PhD, etc. And I was like, I was even unable to connect to this kind of stress, because the world wasn't the official world. It was my world again, because I had lived as a kind of shadow existence for 2 years. So after that, I had this kind of freedom, what to do with my time, what to do with my life, just because I have disappointed so much around. It was like my fame is ruined. I can do whatever I want. And with that, I started gathering women, to be honest, something like 3 women and me. This was my first kind of women group evening, and we were dancing until the neighbors came, and we were shouting, and we were like pretending to be angry until we were really angry, etc. And all of that made me breathe again. All of that made me like, wow, I can scream, I can feel myself, I can dance, I can create my own kind of body work out of my tantra seminars, bioenergetic seminars. I have done a few seminars and trainings, however, no true qualification. I was just, the thing that you are paying here is me and my anger. And it's not, this is my qualification, and this is my certificate, and this is my, And I never recovered around this kind of cultural respect from certificates. Quite the opposite. Just a little footnote, because it's so famous amongst sex workers, I think. The richest men, the most famous men, people from Hollywood, men who can afford everything, the most intelligent men, professors, they are the unhappiest ones. And sometimes they are the most aggressive ones. So not at all those ones who enjoy, who love themselves, who are curious about the contact. So it was like I burned this conditioning of trusting the certificate or the outer appearance of people, including myself. And after that, I just kept going with what made me feel alive. And that was for something like 10 or 11 years, offering evening circles for women, gathering around certain topics like self-love, like rage, like how to deal with men, how to overcome sexual self-hatred, etc., how to deal with hypersensitivity, because I am my first student and I needed to figure out how to live in this world with being hypersensitive. And then trauma healing, I went into somatic experiencing, somatic trauma research. And this is the milestone of my life, I think. Like not talking about people in a way of, oh, we need to talk about your belief system and your mindset, etc. I do not believe in a mindset. I believe in a nervous system. I do not believe in us being women or men. I believe in nervous systems. I believe in human beings as animals. And because we are animals, we are good. Because we are animals, we are strong. Because we are animals, we are on point. So there is nothing that I love in human beings more than their animalistic nature and their mammal being, their nervous system. And then I think subconsciously started translating this research around individual nervous system, individual trauma. Me, Ilan, personally, I'm traumatized because I was 5 years old and my favorite rabbit died due to a dog in the neighborhood or something like that. So there is an individual trauma, and I somehow studied the kind of wounding in the individual nervous system, and then this global crisis started in my awareness. This kind of climate change is something real, and then other triggers like 5G, internet, etc. So I was waking up, and then Corona, of course. I was waking up more and more like, fuck. We need our rage. We need our action mode. We have to stop collapsing. We have to stop teaching our children to imitate their parents just because their parents are burning this planet right now. So I started translating the science of trauma of the individual nervous system to the collective nervous system, and also to the internet as another mirror or reflection of the collective nervous system. And that is why today I also experience myself as an embodiment researcher and as a somatic researcher, but that doesn't hinder me from stepping out into the internet as well, because I experience the internet as a reflection, as an imitation of us as a collective nervous system. So to some extent, I'm not so much into psyche or mindset or individual stuff. I'm more into, let's buy the time for dealing with our individual childhood traumas by saving this planet first. Because then in 10 years, it won't be over. It will be just the beginning. And we are meant to be good. And we are designed as good beings, and we deeply deserve to be happy. However, even happiness is a training in the nervous system, because let's be honest, it's more convenient to stay depressed because it's raining, right? So like how to be radically happy, that's a challenge. But I'm into challenge. I'm into that. And I'm deeply into questioning everything that I was conditioned around, just because I think let's not oversee the hidden mistakes. So many people believe in the mass is going into the right direction, and I'm like, oh, obviously not. Obviously not. So let's just do a mistake the other way around, because that is what might save our ass on a global level. We are in a thrilling era. And this is serious, and it can be a lot of fun, and it isn't at the moment. Yeah. I just want to, is it okay that I talk so much? Oh my God, I'm coming to you as a guest, and then I'm jumping into your living room, and I don't stop, and I'm so thrilled. And we have been waiting for this conversation, and I've been waiting. So now I'm happy. Another thing, Sophia, is I was, of course, shy and also afraid when I published my past as a sex worker. To be honest, working as a sex worker is not that exciting. It's not. But I've wrote a book about it because what I learned about society is exciting. Not what I learned about sex. Woo! No, not exciting. But what I learned about society, what I learned about men, what I learned about women, that is exciting. So I wrote a book about that at the end of 2017 and published it. And during the writing process, I was like, I will be killed for this book. Like, nobody is allowed to talk about taboos in that way. I will be killed for that. And I was somehow at peace. I was like, well, I had my decades. It's okay. Somebody will kill me. But I didn't doubt that somebody would kill me for this book. So that was how deep the cultural conditioning of shut up around the taboo, like how deep that was rooted in my nervous system. It felt like reality that I would be killed for that. And woohoo, I'm still alive, but I didn't know to some extent. And then I published this book, and then I was invited to talk shows and interviews, etc. And then so many men and so many women and so many other sexes said, thank you. I never stepped into sex work, not as a sex worker, not as a client, not as a pimp, whatever. But what you write about society is so deeply healing. And I understand for the first time in my life, myself in a way that I can look into the mirror and love what I see. So, Sophia, this is something that pushes our inner power into visibility even more than the own suffering. That what you can give to the world is what matters to others. So we are so busy, like, for example, oh, woman and entrepreneur and money and healing my money mindset. It's so much individual blah, blah. And it's great because if you are individually suffering, you are on the path because you want to stop suffering. So you are going for it. However, you are faster going for it if it's not your private stuff. If it's not your private healing, like my individual money mindset should heal. Fuck the hell with my individual money mindset. I can work with that in 20 years. But for now, people need it. Other people need it. Thousands of women need it. Thousands of men need healing around money. And thousands of other sexes as well. So there is something of, is the biggest booster for our process or our showing up in this world or our jumping into the own business, is it that I feel ready for that? Does it have to be always about myself? And I think no. We are conditioned to believe that we are egoistic and believe in or that we only take care for ourselves. But the deeper I take serious the term of taking care for myself, like the deeper I'm really egoistic, the deeper I long for contributing to something bigger than me. The bigger I'm somebody who's really giving and generating energy from giving. And I'm not talking about this female shadow of, oh, caretaking for everybody else. I'm talking about the end of female exhaustion on the global level. I'm talking about the end of women being burnt out. Because when they are nourished, when they nourish themselves, they are, wow, what they have to give, it will change the world overnight. Because they take themselves serious. Because they are egoistic in a real term. Yeah, so just basically, I do not know if that was clear enough, my awakening around the power that everybody of us has in showing up in visibility to people in the internet or in another way, that came from the response to the book. So my milestones in my work has been a lot around listening to the resonance instead of knowing my path. To be honest, I do not know my path. I just know that I land again and again at the stream of the highest energy. And that is by me throwing something out into the outer world and listening to the response. And my life is full of catastrophes because the response was a catastrophe. But I learned to change direction. And I learned to waste at least less and less energy into loops or dead ends. So another practice tool, basic tool in my work is shaking. it's not because I was like, ladies, shaking is cool, but it was by a woman saying, shaking is the biggest cure for every kind of stress that I had in my life. And I learned it in your group, Ila. So she was the one who said, this is the cure. And I was listening and saying, that's wise, because every animal shakes that had some kind of stress. Let's shake, ladies. And we didn't stop shaking since then. And the last thing amongst the taboo has so much power for what I'm working with. Wounding as well. I started working consciously, like on purpose, only where I am wounded myself. I stopped chasing for, I was always so beautiful, so let's talk about beauty. Quite the opposite. I want to talk about ugliness. I want to talk about trauma. I want to talk about disaster, about death, about abortion. I want to talk about wounds, because wounds have our power. And at the end of the day, we are not longing for glamour. We are longing for power because we have lost it due to conditioning. Thank you for listening. Oh, so sweet. I can talk and just, wow, be here, and you're here and we're here. Wonderful.
Sharing. Wonderful. I could feel in the last minutes you were in the zone. You were, like, for lack of better words, I say preaching, channeling, whatever it is, like instant downloads, whatever was. How do you feel when you share and when you talk, like you just talked? How is that for you? Do you think about it? Is it planned? Does it come? Like, how is that?
It is coming, but I feel cautious about words, because when somebody else like it's just coming through, then I'm imagining that this other person has some kind of cosmic download, and it's like just an empty channel. I'm not an empty channel. I'm just Ilan. I have a shitty day. I'm super angry today. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, but also rage. I mean, that's maybe the last thing that I want to add to your last question is the power of rage. When you learn to suppress rage and anger, and I think you learned it just because you have to function in a world that is mainly defined around depression. So stepping into your aggression, stepping into your anger, stepping into your rage, that is the quality for peace eventually, world peace eventually. But in the very first moment, it's about us becoming effective again instead of looping and hating ourselves. So I'm preaching to rage in you and in me and in all of us. If that is something, if there is a God, it's the God and the goddess of anger, definitely. So how is it for me talking like that? I feel I listen to your question, like Ilan, share a little bit, and then I start entering the room that you provide for me or that you invite me in. And then I feel a little bit like a nervous system. Like, let's say I feel a little bit, without thinking about that, like a little girl in a new room and instantly running to the walls and testing them, running to the window and like, whoa. And then I experience, wow, the room you are inviting me in, Sophia, is pretty big. It's a big room. It's a room that is strong walls. I can scream here. Nobody will say, shut up. I can be however I want. I can roll around. I can make up how I want to fill this time. And that opens me to a kind of warmth and energy inside that feels similar to rage and similar to gratitude. And I think these two forces are pretty similar, because gratitude is not meant to be something weak and and shy and I'm not worthy, but something of, it's like a firestorm. And then I feel, wow, there is no hindrance. There is a human world where I am not too much. And I'm not saying I'm too much because I have been this fire explosion all my life, but because all of us run around with, oh, I'm not enough. And it's never true. All of us underneath are running around with, oh, I am too much. When I'm just authentic, I'm too much. And even if I'm too much boring, I am too much. And so there is an instant kind of expansion in rage and gratitude for the human world that is maybe for the first time in my life. It's not too much, Ilan. Show up. It's not too much. It's my job to hold the space. And I want to learn from you. So this kind of expansion in a co-creation instead of depression in a co-creation, that is what I'm fascinated about. And I think that in me opens a kind of stream of what I want to share in a very similar way to everybody else, because everybody is waiting for the kind of permission. And the magic is stop waiting for the permission. At the same time, the world is there with a kind of permission. But it's not by me begging, but it's by me, wow, and you, wow. And this rage in the very first place opens us to, let's co-create. We are strong, we are cool. And I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about humans. But I think the two of us are familiar with some kind of tool sets around how to decode conditioning and how to do it on purpose, the other way around, just because we see it doesn't work the old way.
Yeah, and it's not fun.
Exactly. It's like, yes.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. There is this saying of, I mean, it's not that the majority of people would do it if it wouldn't work. And I'm like, as I said, the opposite. The majority of people does it because it doesn't work. And so like just looking at it with a rational mind is like, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we tried it for the last 6,000 years. It's no fun. Let's do something else. It would be so simple, but we are like, oh, we are rational, and we are deeply not. We are just imitating irrational stuff that makes us unhappy.
Yeah. You said so many really wonderful things that I can also feel. And some things that you say, I also came to this conclusion, but from a different direction. For example, that being sad is not the challenge, but being deeply happy, like feeling pure bliss because we are alive now, is what is also a challenge for so many people. And one thing that I have learned from you, and I think that's maybe the only thing I will ever learn from you, but it fits everywhere, is maybe like the whole theory behind it, or the guideline. And in these steps, I can do anything. I once watched a video from you, and it was around comparing myself. And I think I shared with you before. And this video like really has changed my life, or this approach. And I now also share this approach so often with other people. And I could also describe it as stop trying to tell yourself that you are right, trying to convince yourself about how right you are, but just fucking enjoy how wrong you are. I think that's also so liberating.
Yeah.
And this I learned from you, and this sets me free in so many areas. Around jealousy, around being scared that I'm wrong, that I'm embarrassing, I'm not professional enough, whatever it is. I'm like, so I'm not professional enough. So what? I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah. It's so fascinating when we step into testing what we learned in those terms of, does it work? Does it work? If we really look at the results. I was comparing myself to a few thousand women around. I compared myself to, let's say, Anna. And then I was like, yes, but Anna is, and then, and I'm better. And then Anna was gone, moving to another city. Know what? Natalie was in front of me. Again, she was better than me. So I was like really looking at, did it work what I did with Anna inside? Did it work? No, it didn't work. Because after Anna, Natalie came. And when Natalie is over, Eva will came. However, I will be the fucked up one fighting against being fucked up. So then just doing it the other way around was like, in the very first place, take the first Anna and agree that she is the better one. She's even better than what you can see from her right now. She is perfect. She's perfect. She's more sexy. Your boyfriend is more into her than in you. Just make with the very first woman the biggest nightmare true in yourself. Just make it true. Just be this walking disappointment for yourself that you are. And if you go into that and burn in that, it's like it's hell. I mean, I admit it, it's hell. You just want to kill yourself. But know what? You want to kill yourself because you want to kill yourself. So let's look at that. Instead of then, and then this kind of unconditional rage, I will be alive, wakes up. And it does not wake up the other way around. The other way around, there only wakes up some kind of conditioned self-love / conditioned love on the whole level or in the whole game. And there is always something of this or that. If that happens, I'm lost. If I'm growing older, I'm lost. If I do not get pregnant, I'm lost. Whatever. And this is not, it's not freedom. You are not safe with yourself. Life will kill you, let's face it. Everything can happen. You can lose your left arm tonight. Are you prepared for loving yourself no matter what? Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Just because you are alive, and that's a risky game. So it's really me looking at, did my strategies around working with comparison, etc., do they work in the terms of my energy level, gratitude for aliveness, and resilience against catastrophes? And then I figured out pretty soon, no, nothing works, not at all. It just drives me deeper into depression. And then I was like, okay, I just need to do it the other way around. And then the other way around was, okay, Anna, okay. And it's somehow also a shock, because I was prepared for that. Many are not in that way, that all of us learn to hate ourselves. And that's a dark place. That is a dark place. It's a collective trauma. Everybody learns also to hate oneself. And then we are sitting around, no, I don't hate myself. Hopefully, but maybe you just don't feel it because it's underneath your strategies. So I also do not recommend jumping into it with some kind of brutality, but going slow, because it's a deep healing work with yourself. And then, yes, on the other side is freedom. You are ugly, you are too old, you are not intelligent enough. You are not good enough. It's embarrassing how you are. It's embarrassing. Let's face it. You are wrong. And it's so okay, sweetie. You are so perfect. It comes from there. It doesn't come the other way around. And it doesn't come from the outside. I spent years in therapy groups, everybody jumping around. Oh, Ilan, goddess ritual. Why? They were so hurt as little children, praying to me and my divine, whatever, sexual, feminine nature, and being violated themselves. You know, we are so sweet how we want to take care for others, but all of us do not need the outer world saying that we are okay. We need to step into our inner empowerment of being okay no matter what. And that is by us falling in love with ourselves, by becoming our shadow instead of our light. Our light will wake up so much stronger after that, and everything that we are around love and light. Before that, I could say the word in German, I do not know it in English, but the light before that is almost a kind of bluff. It's not even superficial. It's makeup. Yeah.
This I also find really remarkable about you, and I think everybody who gets in touch with your body of work, it is without words very obvious, very clear, and not subtle at all that you really give your own teachings. You are a researcher. You develop tools yourself. You test things. And especially, I think, in this spirituality, personal development, tantra field area. I once had an interview with a woman. She was super badass as well, and I asked her, like, why do so many people have this I'm not enough, or I'm not good enough at my work? And she said something that was like, she said, maybe because you are, because of the 200 hour yoga teacher training, what do you have to give? Of course, not enough. And this I find is very, very, very clear from second number one when getting in touch with your work, is that you teach your own medicine, you share your own medicine. You don't repeat from the books. I think that's really, really nice and inspirational. And I would like to ask you, like, how did you get there? How did you find this? How did you maybe also in the first place found that it was necessary, and then dared to, because I think it's bold to call yourself a somatic researcher. In German, the word Forschung, it's like a scientist in a white coat who has all these certificates and allowance. And so how did you get
It's interesting because this research is an ongoing process of listening to what I need to figure out in order to stop my suffering. So I could tell a heroic story, but it wouldn't be made up. It's not by me being heroic or being committed, or I just throw everything into this focus. I just wake up and start inventing problems because I'm brainwashed due to my culture and the transgenerational trauma in this culture around. And I'm living most of the time in Berlin, which means a few million people around carrying their problems around. And I'm sensitive. I'm getting, the collective mood here is into depression and suppressed aggression. That's not safe. It's not healthy. It's not grounding. It's not something that provides aliveness and a high level of energy. So it's like, how do I wake up here? Either as a victim or as a researcher. That's the only choice I have. Suffering or going for it. And every day something happens that is amazing, that challenges me to the next limit. Every day I learn something new. Because I wake up and my heart is so open for wanting to give to you. Hell no! I cannot even be busy with your stuff because I'm so busy with my own stuff. And there is a brilliant teaching from one of my former teachers. He said, you can do all of that deconditioning because you are courageous. But let's face it, if you're desperate, it works as well as if you are courageous. And I'm just desperate. And there is something of, yes, then maybe Ilan's flavor is somatic research, and your flavor could be painting, and the next flavor of the next individual would be dancing. But I want to be very clear in that if we wake up to the sensitivity that we are born with, all of us are desperate. All of us are desperate. This is not my problem. This is my awareness that I fought for with many, many years of therapy on every level. This is my awareness for our global desperation. We are not egoistic, for example, as mankind. If we would be egoistic, we would live in paradise because we care for ourselves. Us burning this planet means us being stuck in global subconscious self-hatred. We punish ourselves for breathing. That is why we poison and pollute the ocean. There is no other explanation. We are rational again, Science, again, let's look at it. So there is something of, we have all those wake-up calls around. And the only thing why it doesn't reach us is us being numbed out due to so much undigested shock in the generations before. And then maybe on top in our individual life. But that wouldn't matter that much around us being so shut down. I know so many people having had great parents, like really providing for them, really supporting them, still growing up being shut down. Why? Because it matters what happens around. It even matters what happens in Africa without us having a phone call with Africa. It matters. It matters. We are interconnected. And this is something that I'm so thrilled about, because I think one scene that both of us are somehow familiar with is this New Age and spirituality scene. And I love that. And I love the kind of courage and naivety and energy that is in that. And again, yes, naivety also in the shadow part of, oh, we are all one. And I'm like, oh, you are right. We are one. So you know how much suffering is in your species. And now you have a problem, because you can digest that in your nervous system. But that's a fucking training. That's training. First of all, you touch the suffering underneath the numbness, and you start screaming. You start wanting to kill yourself just because it's a lot. One raped baby. Kind of a lot for the beginning, right? So there is something where I'm really, when I'm talking about trauma, I'm talking about trauma. I'm serious. And to some extent, my life was pretty like, let's say, severe outer trauma, like really, Ilan, wake up. And it became more subtle over the course of the last years, because I started looking at all those little reference points to the big woundings. Like it was, and I was again and again recognizing the same thing of wake up. And I was like, whoa, okay, it was softer than a year before. Let's wake up now, because tomorrow, otherwise it would hit me harder. So I was like, okay, do your homework. Okay, do your homework. And this is again why wounding and trauma can be such a gift. Because, for example, I suffered from chronic fatigue for 15 years. So my discipline around managing my energy without any unnecessary waste of my energy has become insane. I'm such an insanely precise radar, seismograph for where is my energy well invested and where not. So there is something of, I would be wasting my energy or my time with anything. But it forced me, because I wanted to kill myself, because I felt so miserable in my 20s. I couldn't get up out of bed some days. So there is something of trauma and the dark nights of your soul. They teach you something that will make you master something. You wouldn't learn it voluntarily. And after that, you will never, ever want to give this quality away again, because it reawakens your essence. But really, the faster it reawakens your essence, the darker the path. I would be proud if I could only talk about myself, but like really from looking at human nature to say, or the nature of the human path back home, it's a hardcore workout. And that is also why I want us to celebrate where we fail. I want us to celebrate. I want us to be celebrated where we fail. Because if we are celebrated for what we did well, I think it's a sin. I mean, we get good A levels for giving the right answer. We should get the better A levels for giving the right question, questioning the right thing, opening up the next continent of not knowing. That is where we need appreciation. That is where we need encouragement, because that is what can save this thing around. And the right answer just obviously can't, just obviously not.
Yeah, that resonates with me a lot. I feel like in our co-creation, we practice this. When working with you, you make it very clear that, because I mean, you know, it's one thing to say, I also used to work in like big companies where they said, yes, we have a very positive culture around mistakes, but still it was not practiced. You could not tell your boss, I really fucked up. Now we lost a lot of money and a lot of time, and therefore we have this mistake here. And then the boss would be like, oh, show me that mistake. It's an interesting mistake. Beautiful. We have a mistake. No, it's another thing to really put it into practice, and you do that. So grateful for that. And this is also interesting around trauma healing, because I have also trauma around how to work. Like when I studied for 8 years, I did all the things I got told to do so I can finally be happy and successful. I did everything.
And right. And worthy of love.
Yes, totally. And then I did all of that and I felt shit. Of course, I felt miserable. I was completely disempowered. I could not hear my heart. I didn't know what I wanted. I only knew what society wanted from me. And I know that this made me feel very shit.
It's so... Can I jump in? No. Can I?
No, jump in, yeah.
Thank you. It makes me so happy when you mention the thing around this mistake culture, because I can just use the same recipe again that we spoke about already. That is looking at the results in terms of aliveness and energy level. Does it really work? So let's construct an example, and I make it up. Let's construct an example. Sophia handles 10,000 euro of Ilan and fucks it up. And in the first version, she comes to Ilan and says, I fucked it up. We lost the money. And I'm like, no. And in the second version, I'm 10,000 euro are gone. They are gone. If I listen to my nervous system, it instantly knows what is the healing response. The healing response is, thank God. Because I heal deeper from money would be an insurance for staying alive. It's not. No matter how much money somebody has, he will die, she will die. Life is deadly. It's a deadly game, and you will die. And you do not know when, and it might be painful. So there is something of, does it work how I approach a mistake? And if I'm fighting against a mistake that has happened, or that can happen, or that is happening, I'm somehow choosing the path of suffering, of attachment. I'm choosing it. And my nervous system, if I listen precisely to myself, warns me. My conditioning says, safety, make it unhappen. How irrational, how stupid. How can we call ourselves being intelligent as a species if we go into rewrite the past? I mean, how can we believe for a second that it could work? It just always is a losing game. So there is something of me feeling the instant relief in my nervous system when I'm listening to you in this example of you going to your boss or whatever. I don't like the word, but that's not the point, of I did a mistake, because there is something of, can you please do more mistakes? And can you do them in a way that they scare me in the first moment, that in the second moment I can heal another layer of fear of being alive? Can you do more mistakes? Can you make it less smooth? Can you make it less professional? Please, Sophia, this is serious. Because I'm attached to outer things going well in order to be happy inside. And that is a suffering matrix in myself. Can you heal me by fuck it up? Please, please fuck it up again. This is a prayer in my nervous system to you as one team tigress that I'm blessed to work with, to co-create with. So there is something of us really, if we approach things that we are talking about in the human culture from a mindfuck level, if we approach them from the level of the nervous system, we rewrite the whole story and we reinvent a beautiful economy full of overabundance. Yes, also in terms of money. But that's not the fucking point. That's just one symptom of us listening to what works.
Yeah, it's so nice for me to work with you because of this, because I feel like it was traumatizing for me to work in a corporate environment, and I feel like working with you allows me so much healing. So often I feel like it's just a little sentence you say or whatever, I'm like, oh, I'm allowed to be here, I'm okay. I can get bigger even, I don't have to get smaller. I have this feeling so often working with you. Yeah, I think that's
wow. I interrupted you. I could again, but let's
up soon because you have another appointment. So yeah, I have a question at the end that I always ask, but I think today I'm going to turn it around a bit. So usually the question is, what has worked for you very well recently? Celebrate a success with us. But this goes against everything we just talked about. So would you like to share? What was the most sweetest, decadent, glamorous fuck up you recently had? Would you like to share a business rock bottom? A recent business rock bottom?
Yes, there is a instance, and it's interesting because I can think about it in the on the level of my business, but it showed up in my private life as well, and it was so healing and so painful and still is. And that is that I can see whenever I enter the game of, let's say, private love or professional business, with my own strategies of how can I feel right and worthy. Like if I buy myself into a game, it fucks me up. It really is. I go into trust, and the little girl inside is like, they will save me. They will say that I'm okay. They will make me rich. They will make this. They will make that. And it's so painful and shocking, as if I didn't see it coming. And then so healing to see they have my soul. They have the hopes of the little girl. And they let it drop. Oops. Just getting. Just being busy with their own stuff. Not caring. Not staying. Not sticking to the own promise, etc. And they don't have to. They set me free by disappointing me so deeply, by letting me down. And this is so painful. And again, I fall like I can't believe it. And it is a traumatic moment because I feel deeply traumatized around human betrayal, like people saying, I will take care for you and do not do that. So that's really a deep wounding for me. So it really triggers me and it really can knock me out for days. And I get up with a safer sense of resilience, almost immortality or invincibility inside, of wow, if life can let me down so deeply and I keep going, then you can bring everything. Just bring everything. Just bring another lockdown. Just bring another whatever. Bring another pandemic. Bring it on. We are invincible. And this is me recognizing an invincible rage of I will keep going anyway. So I have already won. I can't enter a game around business or love or anything and really being in danger. I can be in the illusion of make it work. But the moment I'm like, oh, this business might be ruined, is that the end of this world? And even if it is, does it have to force me stop breathing? No. So I'm entering every game as a winner, or I am in a kind of trance inside. So I'm so grateful for this latest disappointments, especially around private life and business relationships, because it's like, wow, I can tell you when the outer world would have won, if I would build chronic resentment inside instead of trying again with even more rage, even more confidence, and even more invincibility. And that is how I feel I grow so strong from even my deepest traumas being triggered again. So that is kind of glamorous. This kind of, after a dark, dark night, standing up and saying, okay, Ilan, nobody is caring for you being happy this morning. Just nobody. Just nobody cares. And you are so lonely. And you are so forgotten. And nobody paid attention to you dying overnight. So what are you doing? So many reasons for hating yourself. Go for it, baby. If you want, go for it. And I've chosen this path of self-hatred so often, and then drinking a cup of tea in a way that is just nice with myself. This is where I learn. And this is glamour. This is beautiful. And to be honest, things like that in a microcosm happen so often, and they happen so often in all of our lives. All of us have crises every day, several times, if we zoom into that. So that means several times every day. Every life of all of us is blessed with opportunities for awakening deeper. That's the gift. And if we make a turn into a curse, having to live until it's finally over, thank God, our choice. And it is a bloody work. It's bloody work. 24/7, it's work. But I would never, ever choose anything else. Anything. Everything else is so much weaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. What an honor being part of your sparkling podcast universe.
Thank you so much, Ilan, for being here. I'm not going to ask you if there's something else you want to say, because we will save this for another time. And yeah, thank you so much for being here, for sharing, encouraging, and yeah, for giving us a little bit of an insight into the behind the scenes of your business, but ultimately of your life, of your soul, of your body, of your nervous system, because it's the same. Like, what are we talking about? Business, love, whatever, no?
Yeah, aliveness.
So I wish you a beautiful day for the rest of the day. Many crises.
Oh yeah, ooh, they will come. I hear them already approaching. Yeah.
Enjoy your crises today. Yeah, may they make you stronger, more resilient.
You too.
Show notes, everybody will find all the links to all your offerings that I'm going to support you with bringing them in the internet.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you soon.
Thank you so much, Sophia. And thank you for this awesome podcast that you created and really dedicated to a topic that is that we can't spread enough.
Yeah. I mean, I think business is ultimately also empowerment. Like, how much power can you get in this world?
Yeah.
All right.
Woo! Bye.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, for having been here with me, with Ilan, with yourself. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for daring to do something different, to hear something different, and to feel something different maybe also. If this episode has supported you in any way, shape or form, feel free to share, because sharing is caring. So share it with your people, your community, your friends, your family. Forward it, recommend this podcast to people you love. This way you can support me and also other people. Thank you for tuning in. I wish you a beautiful rest of your day, and take good care of yourself and of others, and see you next time.